Welcome to this edition of Miles Ahead, and you join me here inside an Audi RS5. Now we're going to take a look around, we'll look at the exterior, the interior, and we'll take it for a drive as well. There's also one car that I'm quite keen to compare it to that we reviewed on the channel a few videos ago, and that's the Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadrifoglio. So they're both V6 family saloons, but they come at things from quite different angles. So yeah, just to sort of compare and contrast, they're quite similar price points as well. So we'll dive straight into that. So the RS5 range starts at £73,450. The model tested here is the Vorsprung. So Vorsprung in Audi speaks basically fully loaded, no more options to put on it, and that tips scales at £89,995. Although you can get the carbon black for around £77,000. So it's fitted with a 2.9 litre twin turbocharged V6 engine, produces 450 horsepower, 600 newton meters of torque, and does 0 to 60 in 3.9 seconds. It's got all the fancy gadgetry, the Quattro all-wheel drive system, torque vectoring, all of that sort of business, which we'll get to in a bit more detail on the drive along. Having said there's no option, there is one option fitted to this car, as we'll see on the walk around, the Sonoma green paintwork that comes in at £675. But otherwise, everything in here is as standard with the Vorsprung. So you get these nice RS sports seats, they're very comfortable, massaging as well, that's been good. We've done quite a lot of mileage in this on the motorway, so having the massage seats is obviously a bonus. They're heated and all that jazz as well. Really nicely put together in here. I do like the Audi interior, I do like the cockpit and their touch screens and the way everything's put together. So yeah, really comfortable car as you would expect. But we'll start by having a quick look around the outside, then we'll jump in, have a quick look at the interior, and then we'll take it out for a drive. And here it is, the Audi RS5 in Sonoma green. Now I have to say that the colour has split opinion. I really like it, I think it suits it, but someone did say to me, which I think is entirely fair enough, that it's not the sort of colour you'd go for without first seeing it on a car. It is a bit bold, it is a bit out there, but yeah, I like it. I would go for a colour like this. And I've just noticed that a bird has defecated on the car since I cleaned it. Apologies for that. But we'll start at the front anyway. So you get the RS5 badge in there, you get these wonderful LED matrix headlights as well. They do a really good job. I mean, Audi do an exceptional headlight, and this is no different. So some of the styling effects down here, so on the standard RS5 this would be in chrome. This all turns into black as part of the carbon black edition. Same with the rings on here. And same with the casings on the mirror, and you get the privacy glass, and you see all the black lining around here as well. So that all comes as part of the carbon black, which obviously you get standard with the Vorsprung. Also comes with the panoramic sunroof. I really like that. I do like a panoramic roof, and the fact that it opens is definitely a bonus. And as you can see, it's a nice sunny day today, so we've had that open. Just to comment on the wheels, so on the standard edition you get 19 inches, carbon black gets you in 20s, Vorsprung these are also 20s. These wheels are bespoke to the Vorsprung edition. I think they really suit the profile of the car. There's another RS5 badge in there as well. Actually, I think Audi do good looking wheels in general actually, and it's no exception here at all. As we come around, you notice the black as well, see the black lip here as well, part of that carbon black upgrade. Another RS5 badge, and we've got the exhausts in there, so they're hidden in that surround there. One note of complaint is that perhaps the engine could be a bit more sonorous, as I mentioned. This is the RS Sports exhaust system, so this is upgraded on what you would normally get. But I'd say it could be a bit more sonorous. It doesn't sound flat or anything like that. It still does sound quite good. But while we're back here anyway, we'll just have a quick look in the boot. So there's plenty of space in here. There is a bit of a loading lip here that's quite deep, but I've really struggled to get things in and out of it. And you get these clips as well, so if you can get the netting as well, so you can secure your luggage in there and that sort of stuff. There's no spare wheel in this because it comes with a 12-volt battery. That's a fuel efficiency thing, so when you're coasting it will just run on that sort of power, but as we'll have a look at in a minute, fuel efficiency isn't really the name of the game when you're buying a twin turbo 2.9 litre V6. Pace very much is. But yeah, all very easy and very accessible, easy to get in and out of. And while we're on that, we'll just have a quick look in the back seats as well. So as you can see, plenty of space in there. There's a little bit of filming equipment in there, but leg room's plentiful in there. Yeah, no complaints at all. And just having that panoramic roof just lends a sort of sense of lightness and airiness to it as well. and you've got the controls down there. There's a couple of USB chargers down there, and yeah, you control your temperature and all that sort of business back there. But that's enough of the exterior. I do like the way this car looks. It's classically Audi in the very best sense. Yeah, no mistaking what it is. I do like the way it looks, and yeah, that colour is definitely playing a part in that. Sorry, one other thing actually, you do get the sort of flared wheel arches in the RS5 above and beyond what you'd get on the standard A5. So it just gives it that more aggressive guise, which obviously is what you'd want if you're stepping up into an RS. You want people to know about it a bit more, and you get those aggressive creases in the bonnet and all that sort of thing as well. Yeah, do really like the way this car looks, and also quite like the interior. So let's go and have a look at that now. So this is the driver's seat of the Audi RS5, and we might as well home in on these dials straight away. It's classically Audi, and that's no bad thing. I really like the setup you get in here. You get these really configurable screen through the middle for, you know, for your music, and straight through to like sat nav and all of that sort of stuff. I did mention the MPG back there. We'll just have a quick look at that. So as you can see there, we've done 565.4 miles, and we've averaged 26.9 MPG. I don't think that's too bad actually. On the motorway run, you're going to comfortably get up to sort of 30, 31. I'm sure if you really did drive a bit more frugally, you probably see mid-30s on that. So we've done a bit of, you know, bit of B-road bashing, long motorway cruise, been up to Leeds and back yesterday. Yeah, it's been really comfortable. So I think you know, it's a twin turbo 2.9 litre V6 kicking out 450 horsepower. It's not going to be the most frugal, but I don't think those figures there are necessarily that bad. We'll come back anyway. Got all the controls on the steering wheel here, so that alters your view through there and cycle between the different options up there as well. So you've got this RS button. So if I start it up, so foot on the brake, you just get that V6 burble into life. The V6 could perhaps be a bit more sonorous, but that's something that we'll get to a bit later on. So if I come through into here, so if we go into driver modes on here, so we go into car, Audi Drive Select. So you've got comfort, auto and dynamic, and then you've got your RS buttons over here. So this corresponds to pressing the RS button there. So if I press that now, hang on, I'll just get that screen back onto there. If I press the RS button now, you see the comfort note down there changes to RS. The exhaust livens up, so you get the RS Sport exhaust as part of the Vollsprung package as well. So the revs just rise a bit, and it's just ready with a bit more intent now to get going. But if we come across here, so you can configure it the way you want it to be. So I've got this in max attack at the moment. So just press that button and it gives you everything. But it's also got RS2, so you can have things, you know, the way you want them. So you notice down there it says RS1. If I come back and press this button again, it cycles through to RS2. So it's just a bit softer, and then one more press of that and we go back into comfort. So that's a good feature to have on there as well. Another thing, I don't know, it's daytime so it's not going to come up, but you get the wraparound interior lighting in here. It's an extended LED upgrade as part of the Vollsprung edition, so you get quite a bit of light coming out of under here and all the way around here and stuff. It's actually, yeah, a really comfortable place to be at night. So I'll just kill the engine again. So we'll look at the practicality point of view. So yeah, there's, you know, storage in there. You can get a cup in there and that sort of thing. You've got your glove box, obviously stick your manual in there and all that business. So this is nice Alcantara, sort of going into sort of pleather effect up here, I guess you'd call it, and you get these sort of gloss black touches as well. In the centre storage here, you get a USB-C chargers, wireless charging mat for your phone as well. Perhaps not the biggest in terms of storage capacity in there, but one thing they've got quite nicely on here is if you lift this up slowly, you can set it to whichever height you want it, and you get a bit more adjustability for the angle. So obviously drive selector down here. It's an 8-speed gearbox. In this car, there's a little bit more storage down there and a couple of cup holders. So have a quick look backwards now. Plenty of space back there. As you can see, you get an armrest in the middle. There's Isofix in there, and these seats at the back are heated. I'll try and get the camera in down there, so you get your own controls in the rear for it's got 3-zone climate control, so you control all of that business in there. The seats are really adjustable and everything else, and I do really like the interior of the Audis. I think they've done a really good job with this. My only slight note of complaint looking down here is these flappy paddles. They could be, you know, they don't really sit up and beg to be used, but that is what it is. Oh, there was one other thing actually to show you. This car does come with a head-up display. I don't know, might be a bit bright, you can just see it in there. So that's controlled. There's another button down here that you can use to turn it off and on and all that sort of stuff, and you can change the height of it on the screen. I don't know if you can just about make that out on there, but that's really useful, because this car at motorway speeds, you are just cruising along, and yeah, you're perhaps sometimes going a little bit faster than you're aware of. One other thing to note, you get the volume control and you can shift through radio stations and songs down here. I think that's a really good feature to have, because it's at quite a nice usable height as well. But obviously you can do that on the steering wheel here as well, and you get heated steering wheel as well, which I probably should have mentioned as well. But all in all, yeah, I do like the interior in here. You get the touch screen up here, and you get physical buttons for your HVAC. So if you prefer the physical buttons, that's great. It'll also park itself as well. I've actually used that a couple of times. It's really straightforward to use, good feature to have. If you're feeling particularly fruity, you can turn the stability control off down there as well, and you've got your drive select and all that. So you notice from the A6 models upwards, you get the sort of integrated 2 touch screens. I do think that looks better, but I appreciate not everyone likes just touch screens everywhere. People do like physical buttons to push and prod, which I understand. So if that's more your bag, then you'd probably prefer the setup in here to what you get in the RS6, RS7, RSQ8, etc. And the S8 as well also had the integrated 2 touch screens. I personally prefer that, but you know, yeah, if you like a button, this is the place to be. But anyway, been waffling on for long enough. Let's see what it's like to drive. Okay, so what's the Audi RS5 like to drive? We'll start with that exhaust note. As you can hear, it does grumble away quite nicely in the background, but it's not overly aggressive. So we're in our RS mode at the moment. I don't think it's as bad as some people have perhaps made out. I've seen that be like the one note of real complaint. We'll have another go. I mean, there's enough there, and there's certainly enough performance there as well. I'll cycle back through into comfort mode so we can just quieten things down for a second. Yeah, that straight line speed, 0 to 60, 3.9 seconds, and yeah, I absolutely believe that it will do that. This thing has an astonishing straight line speed. It really does. Mentioned that we're going to compare it to the Giulia Quadrifoglio as we go along here, because they're both very different takes on V6 powered family saloons, or family performance saloons. That's not a contradiction in terms. Because Quadrifoglio's only rear wheel drive, it gets a bit lively under heavy acceleration. It's a bit warmer today, 11.5 degrees, but when we reviewed the Giulia Quadrifoglio, it was about 6 degrees and damp, and it was really quite difficult to get the power down. You could feel the back end squirming all the time, so it's a lot more lively. Now this has got the Quattro system, and I mean, you've really got to go somewhere. I mean, I've not come close to losing traction in this thing. You think as the engine's set quite far forward in front of the car, you might be some concerns over perhaps a bit of understeer and that sort of thing. Not a hint of it. I mean, it always feels so well planted and so well sorted. And that Quattro system just does such a brilliant job, and you can feel the torque vectoring work when you really start to push it down a B road and that sort of things, or if you sort of, you know, doing the test, you fling it into a roundabout, that sort of thing, and you know, give it the beans, and you can feel all the technology sorting itself out. Now, some people might argue that lends sort of a more synthetic feel to it, it's less authentic than something like the Giulia Quadrifoglio. Do you know what? Yeah, that's probably fair enough. The Giulia Quadrifoglio did feel really lively, really playful the whole time, whereas this feels much safer. Now, one of my criticism, if you can call it a criticism, of the Giulia Quadrifoglio was that won't be for everyone. You don't always want to feel a bit leery and have the back end going out all the time, whereas with this, it just feels so well planted and safe that you can use the power in this car. It's safe, it's secure, and you really would have to go some to get this car to get out of control. I mean, you'd have to be driving like a complete insert your own expletive here. You really would have to push it to the extreme to get it to do something like that. You really would. People driving on the other side of the road, so always someone in a Range Rover, isn't it? But you've just got so much power to get yourself out in any sort of trouble as well in this sort of car as well. You can pull out of junctions easily. On the motorway, it's so good. It's just so much shove there that it's just, you know, making gaps. I was really impressed with it for the long journey yesterday. It's really smooth. Only slight complaint about the ride is that the suspension can feel quite bouncy in comfort mode. It just sort of, you go over speed bumps and that sort of stuff, and it just lollops about a bit, which I haven't really experienced or hadn't noticed so much in the RS6, RS7, but could just be one of those things. And it's by no means a deal breaker. It is just a little bit wallowy over speed bumps and along these sort of country roads here. But yeah, by no means a deal breaker whatsoever. But this is the sort of car, if you were going to be using a car like this for everyday use, I think you'd plump for this over the Giulia Quadrifoglio. I think it's a bit friendlier, it's a bit softer. I think the interior is nicer. One thing I forgot to mention, you get the Bang & Olufsen premium audio in this. I think you get the Harman Kardon in the Giulia Quadrifoglio. Decent systems, both. I'd arguably give it to this just about, but you know, you're splitting hairs on that one. I did think the sound system in the Giulia Quadrifoglio was excellent as well. But you know, you get the massage seats. These seats are really comfortable. There's a bit more adjustability in them as well, which is a good thing. The adaptive cruise control works sensationally well in this car. It really is quite good. I mean, it was a very useful companion on the motorway yesterday. And I think it's a bit quieter in here as well. I think that maybe having that more, the softer exhaust note adds to that sensation as well in the car. So, you know, depending on your point of view as to whether or not you view that as a bad thing or not. I think if you were looking for a car that you were just going to take out for a brat down your favourite country road and really unleash a bit of hell, then I think the Giulia Quadrifoglio definitely edges it. I think it is more playful, and people always ask about whether these cars are fun to drive and all that sort of thing. I've enjoyed driving this, but I can see why people get a bit more excited about Giulia Quadrifoglio from a sort of pure driver's perspective. I can see why journalists prefer the Giulia Quadrifoglio, you know, in and out of these sorts of cars all the time. And the Giulia Quadrifoglio, there's just a hint of throwback about it. You don't really get cars like the Giulia Quadrifoglio anymore. They tend to exist. You know, the four-wheel drive is fairly ubiquitous when you get to this sort of level of car. You're spending sort of getting on for, you know, 80,000–90,000 pounds. You expect that sort of safety and security, don't you, really? And the Giulia Quadrifoglio is a throwback in a delightful way. I think if you're driving these sorts of cars irregularly, I think, yeah, the Giulia Quadrifoglio is definitely the choice. But for everyday use, I would give it to the RS5, definitely. They are very different beasts though. You know, they're both supremely fast in a straight line. They both get tremendous power out of those V6 powertrains, and you know, they're status symbol type cars, aren't they? You know, you notice a car like this on the road in the same way you'd notice a Giulia Quadrifoglio on the road as well. You've got that RS button there as well. It just makes everything so configurable, and then just a quick squeeze of the right foot and you head into the horizon. Head-up display coming into its own again there, just so you can see how fast you're going. But I mean, I don't think that's a bad sound at all. Yeah, the Giulia Quadrifoglio did sound a little bit better, I will give it that as well. But I think, yeah, the reason I want to compare these cars is because they come at things from such different perspectives. But yeah, for everyday use, I'd take the RS5. Like for the journey I did yesterday, or the driving I've been doing in this week I've had with this, I think I would just about go for the RS5 over the Giulia Quadrifoglio. But I think out on this sort of B road here, I think you'd slightly enjoy it more. You get more engagement, is probably the better way of putting it, from the Giulia Quadrifoglio. But you know, I will say at this juncture that, you know, I'm not a racing driver. I don't have any qualifications above and beyond a driving license. I think, yeah, if you've got those sort of things, or you're more confident, more competent arguably, then, you know, the Giulia Quadrifoglio, you can start to, you know, make use of that slippery back end and really get the most from that. Whereas I think with this, it's just a bit more planted, a bit safer, for sort of everyday average driver such as myself. I think I prefer this. You can exploit the power more easily in this car. We were driving down country roads a couple of nights ago, and this was just doing things that I wouldn't have dared to have tried in the Giulia Quadrifoglio, because I would have ended up in a hedge. Whereas in the RS5, I'm still here, you know, and that's always a good thing when you've been out for a drive, if you can still get out of the car at the end of it, I think. Yeah, not quite as playful as a Giulia Quadrifoglio, but you know, I think it's engaging in a different way. You know, the steering's a bit lighter in this as well. I think the steering setup was better in the Giulia Quadrifoglio as well. And if I was doing a track day, hands down Giulia Quadrifoglio. But if I was going to be using this car, if I was only to have one car and I had to do everything, getting the kids to and from school, doing the weekly shop, commuting to work, all of that sort of thing, then yeah, I would definitely go for the RS5. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit like, and please also consider subscribing. We've got loads of videos on the channel, and we've also got loads more coming up, so yeah, hopefully we'll see you again soon. Up next, we've got a slight change of pace. We're going from V6 to V8. We've got the Lamborghini Urus, another one of the VW stable, using that 4 litre twin turbo V8. Looking forward to that one, I can tell you. After that, we've got a McLaren 720S lined up. We've also got a Ferrari Portofino M lined up as well. What else we've got? We've got a Mercedes EQA as well. So we've got another EV coming up on the channel to boot, and we're hoping to review the Audi RS3, and we've got an Audi SQ7 for a bit later on in the year. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please hit like, and yeah, please hit subscribe, and hopefully we'll see you again soon. Thanks.